Hi, second grade. I hope you had a great week and really enjoyed working on that pinwheel project. I got to see some of your pinwheels because you emailed them to me, or mom and dad emailed them to me. If you have a picture of your pinwheel, please email it to me. Send it to me on Schoology. I'd love to see it. They turned out great from what I've seen, and I hope you had fun doing them too. This week, we're going to start a new project, and it's going to deal with something called mosaics. We'll talk more about mosaics in our live classes. Right now, I just want to show you how to get started on your mosaic project. So this is what our finished project will look like when we're all done. The vase of flowers. This week, we're not going to be working on the mosaic part here. We're going to be working on the flower part, but we do need to leave a space for that vase where we're going to put the mosaic in. So that's what we're going to be working on today. Grab yourself a pencil, some crayons or markers, whichever you'd like to use. Colored pencils will also work, and a piece of that white paper that you picked up with all of your supplies at school a couple weeks ago, and I'll show you how we're going to get started. So second grade, here is our finished project one more time. Like I said, we're not going to be working on the mosaic part so much today. That'll be next time. But today we are going to be working on the flower part and just drawing where our vase is going to go. So grab yourself a piece of that white paper. We're going to hold it up and down like an ice cream cone, not side to side like a banana split. Up and down like an ice cream cone. With your pencil, draw a rectangle in about the middle of the bottom. Now you don't want it to be too super skinny, but you also don't want it to be really, really fat either. So you can see I have a pretty good amount of space on both sides of these lines. Just drawing one line up on close to each edge of the paper, still leaving pretty much space, not quite a crayon, a full crayon, but the majority of a crayon. And just draw it to about halfway up the paper. Then you can draw a line across. Just clean these lines up a little bit. And that's where we're going to be putting our mosaic vase. For what we're doing, a rectangle is going to be the easiest. If you want to try and get fancy and do a rounded vase or a different shape, you may gladly try. I would start with a rectangle because it's going to be really easy when we start putting our mosaic tiles in. We want to start drawing our flowers up here. Now on mine, I have some just like daisies. If you know how to draw other types of flowers, please go ahead. We're going to just concentrate on the daisies right now. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to draw this very lightly, but we're going to make some stems for our flowers. So go ahead, make some stems. And you can see some of mine are taller, some are shorter, some go straight up, some kind of lean to the side a little bit. Maybe you want to have some kind of drooping down over the side. Think about bouquets of flowers that you've seen at the grocery store, maybe in your own house. They're all different sizes. Some are tall, some are short. And as the flowers sit outside for a little bit, some of them droop a little bit. So just some straight, some curved, some short, some long. All different sizes. Then we want to start drawing the flowers. So to do a daisy, here's my stem. I'm going to go up just a little bit and I'm going to make a little circle. That's going to be the center of my flower, this yellow part here. And then to make a petal, it's almost like you're making a teardrop shape, except you don't really have the sharp pointed part that comes to a point here. That's going to go in the circle. So you're just like cutting that part off because it's in the circle. So there's one petal. And then I like to go right across from that, draw the other petal, almost so it looks like a propeller now. And then I'm going to do one on the middle on each side over here. Let me erase that. And then fill in the space next in between there with more petals. And you can see some of my petals are a little bit skinnier, some are a little bit fatter. They're all about the same length, but some are even a little bit shorter. Remember, flowers aren't perfect. They're not exactly the same for every petal. They're a little bit different. So if yours doesn't your petals don't look exactly the same each time you draw them, that's okay. You just want them to be pretty similar. Then I'm going to go down here, and maybe this one I'll make a bigger daisy. Because remember, just like everything else, some are going to be bigger, some are going to be smaller, all different sizes. Now you can see this one's overlapping with that first one. So this petal, I'm going to make that it goes underneath that one. So instead of drawing the last part of this petal, I'm going to not draw it because it's under the petal that I drew before. Okay, so some daisies are going to be bigger, some are going to be smaller, but I'm drawing them each the same way. So now that I have all of my flowers drawn, what I want to do is we're going to go and color the centers of our daisies in. Now, most of the time, the centers are yellow, but you could also use an orange. It's really up to you if you want to make them all yellow, if you want to make them all orange, if you want to do a little bit of both. So go ahead, color just the centers for now. And you can see I'm kind of using a little bit of yellow, a little bit of orange. Just like that. So now that we have the centers of our flowers colored in, what we're going to do is make the stems go over the stems with crayon. In my crayon box, I had two different greens. I have a darker green and I have more of like a yellowy green or a brighter green. I'm going to use both of these for stems. So some are going to be the darker green, some are going to be the lighter green. Again, totally up to you if you want to mix the greens or if you just want to pick one. So go ahead, go over those. Make sure when you're tracing over the stems that you don't get any of the green in the petals. So like even though my stem goes a little bit into this petal, I'm making sure that I stop the green at the edge of the petal. I don't want to put green inside the petal since we're going to be coloring our petals in with colors next time. Once you have the stems that you completely traced all of them, go ahead and put this away for next week and we'll work some more on it. Great. By this point, you should have the start of your vase. You should have that rectangle shape done. You should have your flowers, daisies, or if there's a different kind of flower that you would rather draw, go ahead and draw those. And also the stems for your flowers. The only parts that you should have colored are the centers of the flowers, if your flower has a center that we're coloring, and also the stems. We'll be working more on adding color to our flowers during our live classes and also next week. So don't worry about coloring anything else in yet. Definitely don't color in this part because that is where we're going to have a little bit of fun with some cut paper and very, very soon. So don't put any color in here. Right now, you just need to focus on the centers of the flowers and the flower stems. And I'll show you where we're going to go with that next week. Have a great week. I will see some of you this week for some live art classes, and others I will see next week. Have a great week, second grade. See you real soon.